Hello, all. Okay, now it's time to get into programming. Let's start right now and don't look back. All right. The first thing we're going to do in this particular video is get in and start recognizing the whole idea of what Visual Studio is and how to actually get to our environment so we can actually start writing a program. So how I have this set up is we'll kind of walk you through Visual Studio, what it is, make sure you understand all the different concepts, maybe some of the different ways you may walk into Visual Studio and what you need to do, how to find the right project type, name your project, and save your project. We will do that in this particular video. In the next set of videos, we'll get back to writing our very first program, and then we'll let you go off and try it yourself, okay? So that's kind of the steps in for this week's videos. So in this case here, I got my PC sitting here with a lot of stuff on it, I agree. But with that said, what we're going to do is go search for Visual Studio. You should have downloaded this by now. And what's kind of nice about the Visual Studio is a lot of the stuff is free that's out there. As you see, I have 2017, 2019, and 2022. They're all mutually exclusive of each other. You can download any of those. Obviously, you can download those via our accounts here at Cincinnati State, or you can literally just go out and search and download Community. That's what I pretty much have downloaded, was the Community one for 2019, 22, and 17, and they all work well. In our accounts here at Cincinnati State, you actually can probably download Professional or even Enterprise, which is not going to be that much different for you, but it's a more expensive piece of software, I guess. I'm not sure you'll ever use it, but nonetheless, you can if you like. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and focus on 2019 right now. That's kind of the current versions we're using. And all you need to do is just click on it and let it start up. This is very similar to a couple of the other versions that's out there right now, but and this could change. I'm not going to say it doesn't. Visual Studio has a way, and Microsoft has a way of constantly changing things on us. As it changes, we'll try to keep up with it the best we can. It makes our lives here at Cincinnati State kind of miserable with all these different versions. What's interesting is that even though there are a lot of versions, how you go about doing this work has not changed that much. Most of the different versions add more things to it, but as we get into programming 1 and programming 2, we're not going to be looking for those extra adds. We're just going to look for the basics of programming. All right? Everything you're going to do here is you're going to create a new project. Now, a couple things you will do is create a new project, and you're going to open a project. But I'll show you how to open a project in another video also this week. But we're going to create a new project. That's what you actually do. Based upon what you've downloaded on that project, you should be able to find the type of project you're going to do. Visual Studio can deal with a lot of different types of projects, from console applications, where some our classes actually do, to ASP.NET web applications. You'll do that in one of our classes also, and so on. What we want to do in this case is a Windows Form application, and here it is right here. In some situations, you may have two of these. You might have Windows Forms app, nothing behind it, and Windows Forms app with .NET Framework. You really want the Windows Forms app with the .NET Framework. So if you only see the one with the Windows Forms apps on it, okay, go search till you find the one with the Windows Form app .NET Framework. Once you pick this for the first time, it will go over here as your template, and you'll be able to click on that easily the next time you get into the part of it. So you want the Windows Form .NET Framework with Visual Basic. I also picked Visual Basic here. If you had all languages up here, pick Visual Basic, and it kind of takes it down to what we want to do. Okay, so Windows Forms apps, get down here again. Not the WPF app, the Windows Forms app. I can't really say it very well. Windows Forms app with .NET Framework. You got it? There's a lot of things that look the same. Make sure you pick the right one. Okay? Go ahead and click on that and hit Next. You will now come to configuring your new project. So the first thing is the project name. It defaults to whatever your latest app is, and that's really a bad name. For our students, for this particular course, what I want you to do is actually put in the assignment that you're going to be doing, underscore your initials. And so your next assignment should be assignment 2, or whatever it is, who cares, underscore your initials. This really helps us out when it comes comes to grading and so on, and recognizing. When we hit the projects, let's put project 1 underscore initials, project 2 underscore initials, final project underscore initials. Please put your initials out there. Just the 2 initials is fine. If you have 3 initials, you can put them, but it allows us to differentiate when we actually download ourselves, because we're going to be downloading all your assignments to actually grade them. And if it's all called assignment 2, I don't know which one's which. So please put your initials there. Very important that you name your project now, not later. It's really hard to rename stuff. Visual Studio does not do a very good job with doing a save as and renaming. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you right now, don't ever do it, because you can potentially corrupt your entire project. So you never want to do a save as. The best thing to do is to focus on this when you start every project and make sure you name it correctly the first time, and then also make sure you're saving it in a location in which you can find, okay? Whatever that may be. Does that make sense? All right, so let's look at location. Right now, mine's defaulting. You can see I bought my computer at Costco. Mine's defaulting here. I'm going to go in here, and if I wanted to, I can change it to, I'm going to go ahead and put it in Documents, okay? And I'll put it mine in Documents, and we'll go from there. Okay, there. I'm actually going to, so I can find this a little bit later easily, we're going to do, I'm going to call this Visual Studio Examples, and I'm going to stick it into this folder. I'm going to open that up and then select the folder, and that's where it's actually going to be saved at. You need to know where your project's going to be saved, because we have some work to do for you to be able to upload it to us a little bit later on. That's all you really need to do. The solution name can remain the same as the project name. In a lot of cases, those are, for our purposes, the solution and the project are synonymous. They're the same thing. It's like a one-to-one relationship, okay, in this case. So you don't have to worry about that at all. All right? So I'm going to state it one more time because of the importance of it. Name your project, whatever the assignment is that we give you for that week, underscore initials. No spaces in there. And then make sure you save it in a location in which you can find your actual projects. Let's go and create it. Takes a few minutes based on how fast your computer is. And I think for the first time, it actually takes a little times too, okay? What it's going to do is bring us up into what is called an integrated development environment, an IDE. You ever hear me reference that before? Again, it'll be IDE, which is integrated development environment. That's what this right here actually looks like, okay? It's a bunch of windows in this case, and so it all works together in Visual Basic. Again, Visual Studio is really smart. You told it what you're doing, and it would set up based upon what you're doing. If you did other types of programs, it would set it up accordingly also. You'll actually see that work in multiple courses throughout our curriculum. There's several things that we actually see on here, and based upon you signing into it, Lord knows what you see. So let's just go back and let's look at the worst possible scenario coming in to this. I have seen students who actually come in and it looks like this. I'm going to actually pull this out and get rid of everything, okay? And where there, it just comes to a blank screen. I don't know why. Usually it's because you know how you left it the last time, or maybe when another person left it, based upon what you're doing. We want certain things up and working that we're going to work with to actually write our programs, and I'm going to tell you what they are. If you come to this situation here that any of the forms I'm going to show you are not there, all you need to do is go up to View and find them. You need the Solution Explorer, number one. That's it right there. There's your Solution Explorer, okay? I'll tell you what that is here in a second. You need to also go get the Properties window, which sits right here. You see that? Properties window. Double click on that. It's the Properties window. We're going to take this, and what we can do is kind of grab this. And whoops. Oh, there you go. There you go. We put it on the bottom of it. You got to play around with it to get these things to do where you want them to go in that case, okay? And then let's see, then we got a few more. We're going to View, and then the Toolbox. It's really those three right there. This Toolbox right here. I'm going to click on this so it actually goes over there, and I can pin it and I can unpin it. Same thing over here if it's done correctly. Where's my little pin at? Looks like it wasn't there. I'm going to put those there. There they are. And you can pin this or unpin this, okay? And they actually open up that way. All right? We'll go ahead and pin both of these back here. Same thing with our toolbox. These are the three major windows you always want up and working when you're actually writing a program in Visual Basic. So for the next two courses, this is what you want up, no more, no less. If you have other things that come up, you can press the X and get them off of there. You need a solution explorer. This is basically what we're working on. This is our project. It has a lot of different things there you don't need to worry about right now, but that form one is the thing we're actually going to be working with. So I want you to double click that, left double click, and it will bring up the form. This is how your Visual Studio environment should look. You may be confused right now on what do we do, but this is how it should look. Okay? So Solution Explorer, the properties, we're going to talk about that extensively when we get into writing our first program, and we'll talk about it extensively throughout the entire course, and the toolbox, and we'll talk about that extensively when we get into writing our own programs. All right? This right here is the Visual Studio. Once you get done and you start doing things, you can actually do a save all, even though I believe Visual Studio saves everything that you do without having to do that save all. But I always do a save all, the two little floppy disk up here, to make sure everything is taken care of. Once again, you want to refrain from ever doing a save as. See that right there? Never, ever, ever look at that. Never look at it. Do you hear what I'm saying? Never look at it. Uh, One of you are going to come to me saying my project got corrupted. And I'm going to say, did you do a save as? And you're going to go, yeah. And I'm going to say, I told you not to. All right, never do that. Name your project correctly the first time. If you get to this point and you look up and you realize you didn't, get out of it and start all over again. Name your project correct and you'll never have issues. And also save it in the right place. Because once again, you can move it through your file explorer, but you can't do a save as and save it again somewhere else like you can in Word and Excel and so on. Does that make sense? Okay? So once again, based upon what you see when you first come into the project, okay, it could be anything, maybe it's just this, you want to get your environment set up the way you want to. So that maybe you pop in and the Solution Explorer is here, but you need to make sure you get the Properties window up, let's see, Toolbox up, and finally you double click on the form 1 right here, okay? Later on in this course we'll have multiple forms, but that's not for a while. So right now all we're going to have is this one form. Double click on the form and then there you go. And this is Visual Studio, okay? This is Visual Studio. I can hit the X right here to get out of it once I'm done with all my work. And there you go. One thing I'm going to show you, and I'll probably show you again in another video, will be if I go to Documents and I go to, let's see, what I have, Visual Studio. I got a lot of stuff on my computer. Visual Studio Example, this is where I saved it, okay? That's where I saved it. All right, we'll talk about that a little bit more. But anyway, your introduction to Visual Studio, make sure you can go out there and get in and save and make sure you pick the right project type and you have all the right windows up. And once you have that up, we can now start writing a program, which we will do in the next video.